So if we're like, we know that that's central to everything you're doing on the track and off the track.
Correct.
Give us a sense of how, from a speed and power development side of things, how do you develop that over a season or a training cycle? And how do you do that over a course of a year when you talk about an athlete making a jump from like 1.11 to 1.05? How do we sort of tackle both of those pieces of the puzzle?
Absolutely. Well, in talking about puzzles is really on some levels a 3D puzzle, because you have, like I said, my partner, hey Catherine, love you. She does 100 milers, 55Ks, all that crazy stuff that I don't know how y'all do it. You guys are awesome. It's crazy, but you have a strength aspect, because what is running? What is sprinting? It's really the vertical application of force.
Yeah.
So the stronger you are, the more force you can apply, and actually, biomechanically speaking, you're more efficient.
Yep.
You can do more with less, so it's to your advantage to lift. So I have weight programs that athletes do. There's that. There's a plyometric program. So here's another thing. The vert measures G-forces. So when you sprint, there's a ground reaction force that people don't understand. Excuse me while I rant. So everybody's like, oh, you gotta squat, squat. I've never seen an athlete move like this, even in football. If you're talking about football, in a play, if I'm gonna tackle you, sometimes I'm not gonna say, hey, can you line up? I gotta get this. In a game, both feet aren't lined up,
Right.
and the movement from a biomechanical standpoint isn't there. So last time I checked, when you run, you're running on one leg at a time.
Yeah.
So first of all, there's an asymmetry. Everybody here at the table has one leg that's stronger than the other, one arm as well, but we're really talking about running. So you need to assess the asymmetry and address it, because, let's say you're running. Let's say your right leg is stronger than your left. So you're at 100%, 80%, 180, 180, 180, 180. There's all that energy leakage that needs to be addressed. So from an efficiency and an effectiveness standpoint, you got to address that. So we do that through strength training, plyometrics. But again, when you run, it could be 5 Gs. So again, squat, right? Yay. But at the end of the day, let's say you weigh 100 pounds. I know you weigh more, but it's 5 times 100. So that's 500 pounds on one leg. Every step.
Every time.
Right. But you don't need to lift. Don't lift.
Right.
Don't, no, you need to lift. And actually, plyometrics, for people that are getting older, the force actually strengthens the bone. So it's beneficial on so many different levels. So we do plyos. We do strength training. The other thing that we do, we spend some time working on sprint mechanics. So again, from a sprinting standpoint, the optimal position for sprinting is your foot should be 6 to 8 inches ahead of your body. I learned that from a gentleman by the name of Nat Senior. He's a guy out of London. In fact, he just coached the under 20 record holder for the 150. So this guy knows speed. So a lot of this stuff, thanks Nat, is from these experts. I don't know everything, and I'm happy, that I don't. I'm even learning from you guys. So we work on sprint mechanics. We work on agility. It's speed and space. So, so when you look at biomechanics, there's force production, there's the direction of force, there's the coordination of movements, the running, even if you're running a 10K, you should have solid mechanics. If you aren't, I don't think that twisting like this is going to help you run fast.
Yeah,
and you probably get injuries. Go ahead.
You talk about that leakage of speed, both for an injury prevention standpoint and 25 laps of that. If you're losing just 1% of that, you're just giving away meters to the guy or
somebody
gal
else.
that's running away from you.
Absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. So, we work on sprint mechanics. The whole 90-90 thing drives me nuts too. But everyone like, really, the arm bends a little bit on the back end. But I digress. So, so we work on sprint. There are different phases. So now. So you're talking about periodization, and the training cycle. So a lot of my clients kind of view high school is like this gap in between off-season training with me and then their spring, their summer track season or whatever. So I do my best to get them to a certain level up to the season, cut them loose. So we do a lot of repeat sprint training. So repeat 40s, fan favorite. But it gives them that, it extends that ceiling, like you said. So then they have a speed reserve. The problem is that, and I get it. Coaches have 100 kids. It's hard to know who's in shape, who's not. Although you guys should talk to Coach Chris Carley over at Aquinas High School. He buys into RSA as well, repeat sprint, ability training. You technically could use RSA to really figure out who's where, and if you can, remind me to come back to RSA and why that's so critical. There's the soccer testing aspect that I want to talk about it. But so as we get closer to the beginning of the track season, shorter distance, more sprints, quick bursts. So they're not as fatigued, because I know most coaches are going to beat them up because they don't know what they've been doing in the off season. I really wish that high school coaches or college coaches would collaborate with coaches like myself. So that they know, hey, okay, I know that, Thomas did this for 8 weeks or 10 weeks, so this is where he is developmentally. Maybe I'll take a couple reps off because I already, I don't want him to peak too early. And I don't, what happens is, because they don't know what's going on, sometimes they pound the kids with high volume, and then, you get to May and June, it's like, well, Susie, why aren't you running fast? Well, okay, you've been overtraining her all the way up here, and then she runs summer track. How come you never run like that in the high school season? Because you're beating the snot out of her. Spring, the summer, training is lighter, so then her legs are fresher,
right.
And then she runs better. Like, it's not rocket science. It's physics, but I guess that is rocket science.
It is.
So I don't know if I really
And I think
addressed
that's good to hear from our athletes, because a lot of times we're talking about miles per week and they're thinking more repetitions is better, but with some of the sprint mechanic things, less is better, because you want to be able to capture that speed while you're doing it.
And better is more.
And better is, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Catherine talks to me a lot about junk miles. I don't know how you guys would characterize that, but not all training is the same.
Yeah,
It's 100%.
just because it's hard doesn't mean it's making you better.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it just means it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
There needs to be intention behind everything you're doing.
Absolutely, and there should be an end goal.
Yeah.
And again, the metrics help drive where things are going. So anyway.
So if you had the ability to sort of carte blanche, like just create from start of training to peaking for a championship, how would you take them through in terms of building those components of max velo, repeat speed ability, and stuff in the weight room?
So I'd have some questions for you. How long's my season?
Let's say we've got 16 weeks.
Okay. What sport? Cross country, or what event? Because that's gonna.
Let's do cross country, since it's that much different.
Yeah.
Or,
No,
we think of it as
please,
different.
no,
Right.
no. I wish. So I wish someone would say, hey, put together a program for us. So
Yeah.
thank you. I
Yeah.
guess you just.
This is it.
Yeah, this is it. So, so you're saying 16 weeks.
Yep.
Right. So some of it's off season and some of it's competition.
Yeah.
How much is competition?
Probably the last 10 weeks is probably in season, but probably 8 weeks of actual competition that kind of matters.
Okay, so it's really kind of 8 and 8.
Yeah, you've got.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So I would say, and I, I'm not a stick dude or a stick chick, so I can't say, so this is kind of facts versus feel. Definitely the first 8 weeks, I would do at least one, so there'd be 2 speed days. One day would be RSA training, so we do repeat 40s, 90-second recovery, okay? You know what, maybe, I love data, so I'd probably try to grab all the data, but let's say we could. How many kids are you going to give me to?
Let's say you got a team of 40 athletes or so.
40 athletes.
40
okay.
athletes. We don't have a free lap or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got
absolutely.
a bunch of excited coaches like Spencer.
Yes,
and I
absolutely. All right,
yeah.
great. Well, first of all, I'd call, if I could, I'd get some baseline data. So the first week, maybe you stagger the kids and you get, you borrow someone's free lap, you get a little bit of data. Okay. So then, weeks 2 through 7, like I said, one day out of the week, you're going to do repeat 40s. 90 seconds in between, 2 sets of 5, give them, now at this point, 4 to 5 minutes recovery. And then, you can do, let's say you have an hour. See, that's the goofy thing for me too, is that, I normally have an hour to work with clients. So I don't have time. I don't have time to play around. And as an engineer, there's a Pareto principle. So so out of 100% of production, okay, 80% of that production comes from 20% of the work.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to find that 20%.
Yes.
And I want to mess with that other 80. I want that 20 investment, 80% production, baby. That's where I am. So anyway, and that's why I believe in RSA. So like I said, we'd get RSA for one of the speed days, and then the other speed day, we'd work on sprint mechanics. So let's say we do an hour, right? So we'll do sprint mechanics, and then I would throw in some plyometrics. Now, if I had a staff, I would identify asymmetries, and we would target the weaker leg. And it's low impact plyos. They don't have to jump into a tree or I have clients that easily can jump 40 inches from a standstill, which is awesome.
That's
but
so
again,
cool.
but so some of that's just show. It's more about confidence, It's TBU, true but useless. It really doesn't apply, for example, the long jumper, he never jumps like that. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's more of a, hey,
I can do this, let me take this energy into something
Yes,
else.
exactly. And that confidence, I could do that here. Okay, I could do that too. Okay, coach, let's go, right? That's what I love about it. So anyway, for any athlete, I would do some low-level plyos, and I call it microdosing. So slide it in, so it's very low impact from the body keeps score. So from that standpoint, it's not bad at all. But from the production side, huge, and it doesn't take long. So that 8-week chunk, we'd do that. We would head to the weight room. We would do forward and reverse lunges. Probably use dumbbells because you don't have to lift 500 pounds. Again, if I can, I'm going to attack the asymmetry even in the weight room. So we do that. So step ups, forward and reverse lunges, single leg Romanian deadlifts. Okay, so we do all that. We hit the weight room. We've been on the track, done some plyos. I'd probably call you guys and say, okay, the other days, how much mileage do we really need, and then so going into the season, that would be different. I would probably play with the RSA, but max, and I would probably taper, because we did all the work on the front end.
Front end, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So maybe every other week, or maybe the first 4 weeks, because you don't want to peak too early. You only got a window. You got a 2-week window. Yeah. So, depending on how everybody tested out that 8th week, because we'd pull everybody in and test again, you got to give them a little bit of a break too. So I'd get those RSA metrics. Going into the season, I'd break out my team into groups depending on how they did the RSA. So anyway, going into the season, the first 4 weeks, I probably do more speed work and make sure that we decel. So probably do 40s. Give them 4 to 5 minutes in between. Do maybe 5 once a week. The other day again, I still would do some sprint mechanics and some plyos. You still got to run fast. And then the last 4 weeks, you know what? Maybe you cut it to 3 max velos, and then so you cut it down to 1 day where it's half max velo work, or you say 40 kids?
40 kids.
Yeah. So group 1 trains on a Tuesday, group 2 trains on a Thursday. We just do max velo, half the time, and sprint mechanics. The other group, maybe they just do sprint mechanics and low-level plyo, shake out, go home. Because you want them feeling fresher versus beaten up going in.
Going to championships.
Yeah. I don't know. Did I check all the boxes?
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And sort of that ability to acquire the skill, build that foundation of fitness, and then how do we maintain that as we sort of introduce more of the things that are going to help them be fast over 5,000 meters too, so they still feel really quick on the track, but they've got that specificity of speed endurance as they keep going for, hopefully, 15 to 20 minutes out there too.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.